Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to Front Lines. Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be discussing more on the topic of why in the Western world they are just essentially making women men, right? These female characters are not female characters. They are overtly written to be a replacement for male characters, right? And we talked about this before in my video why traditional masculinity must be destroyed in order for feminism to succeed. But before we get into this, let's read what V has to say about this issue. More and more people are starting to notice that what I've been saying, female characters in the West are not ugly. They are simply not meant to be female characters. They are created androgynous in order to normalize the Californian look or the Innsmouth look, like H.P. Lovecraft accurately placed it. If you point it out, they will try to gatekeep by shaming you, saying you need to touch grass or you're obsessed with the spicy content. In other words, they will deflect from the fact that they support the erasing of femininity from Western art in order to push for gender abolition, right? And that right there, gender abolition is what we discuss again in my video about feminist theory, right? Feminist theory overtly says that, hey, gender norms, gender roles, this whole idea of gender and sexuality are all social constructs created by the patriarchy in order to maintain its power over marginalized groups of people, right? This is overtly what feminist theorists say. And outside of the literature, how do they implement this in reality, right? They say things like what we covered before, articles openly saying that, hey, if you are a guy and you work out, well, then guess what? You better watch out because you're becoming right wing, or you're going to be the baddie from World War II. If you are a guy and you have any type of, you look at your testosterone levels, right? If you care about your testosterone levels, right? Well, then guess what? You are also one of the World War II baddies, even though when you look at BuzzFeed, the Try Guys, right? They went out and tested their testosterone levels. What was their test results? Well, they have the testosterone levels of 70, 80-year-old men. Okay. Look at them, right? They look like the most emasculated soy boys, right? This is where the soy boy meme came from, because these are guys who are very emasculated, very effeminate, who are openly saying, this is what a true feminist looks like. I'm not a toxic male. It's like, dude, you're a geek. You're a little nerd. You're a little pleb. Get out of my face, dude. Okay. When you look at this picture right here, this comes from the adventures of My Adventures with Superman, the new animated TV series. And the character here on the left is supposed to be Livewire, and the character on the right is supposed to be Heatwave, which, Heatwave is a guy, right? He's supposed to be like an older guy. But however, they decide to make him a her and make her a complete and total buffed out, roided jock. Okay, completely stupid. It's just completely stupid. And as Ratchet Galaxy points out, if you remove their piercings, you remove their, this little eyeliner, right, which they try to use to define these people as women, right? You remove all this crap, they look like straight up dudes. Okay, you show this picture to anybody, they'll say, oh, well, this is clearly two dudes in a gym hanging out, working out, whatever, right? No, sorry, they're supposed to be females. Okay, in the Western world, again, they openly try to intentionally do this, right? This also comes from, this kind of sentiment also comes from this guy who is an ex-Hollywood writer, in how, his opinion on how feminism ruined movies, right? This comes from Trigonometry. Definitely check out the full video. We're just going to play the first 30 seconds, which is kind of like the intro.
My wife and I went and saw the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. And the first thing that happens is a giant bad guy comes in. He's a monster. He's huge. Comes up to a woman. The woman just beats the crap out of him. And I thought, yeah, you've already lost me. Women no longer know who they're supposed to be, and they get insulted if you say to them, well, you may be many things, but the one thing you're not is a man, And so you have to understand what you are as a woman, and that has been outlawed as an idea.
One of the things,
right? So you can be many things, but what you're not going to be is a man, right? And again, feminist theory openly says, well, that whole idea of what makes a man, what is a man, what makes a man, what is a woman, what makes a woman, that's all a bunch of social construct nonsense created by the patriarchy, right? That's why the LGBT community adopted that crap, right? They adopted this whole notion that, well, gender and sexuality is a social construct, and therefore everything is fluid, right? Everything is gender fluid, non-binary, and that's why the LGBT community is now the 2SLGBTQIA plus whatever, right? In total insanity, right? Because they are openly trying to blur the lines between social norms, gender roles, the difference between men and women, not only in biology, but also in society, the different roles that they play in a society, things like that, right? This is why, you look at the left and they openly sit there and will praise people like Leah Thomas, a biological male who competed as a male throughout their entire swimming life, swimming career, okay, was at the bottom of the barrel of the men's division, decides that, oh, I'm now going to compete as a woman, identify as a woman, my senior year, first year competing as a woman, completely destroys the competition, wins gold in America's national swim competition. You ask women, hey, is this feminism? Is this what women want to achieve? Men identifying as women, breaking your world records, taking your trophies away from you, infiltrating your sororities, which we're going to talk about in my next video, right? Is this really what feminism wants to achieve? And they say, well, you guys are just a bunch of Islamophobics for pointing that out. It's like, bro, what is a woman, right? As Matt Walsh came out, what is a woman? Okay, what's all, you guys can't come turn around and say, oh, trans women are women and all this other crap. But at the same time, when it came to the argument of, Roe v. Wade, all of a sudden it's, oh, well, the government and men shouldn't have any hand in telling a woman what they can and cannot do with their body. But then again, what is a woman, right? If you guys cannot define to me what a woman is, well, then your bullcrap is just bullcrap, right? Because it's just a complete hypocrisy, right? And so this is what really this is where it really boils down to, right? Is why are we seeing all this crap? Why are we seeing female characters, right? Because you look at this Mortal Kombat game, okay? Look at how they're these female characters are completely just non-attractive looking, right? It's just maybe her, right? Because she's wearing a mask. Who knows? I know that who the character is, right? But it's the body. They still look kind of good in the body, but as far as the face goes, right? They just look like very old, shriveled up men, right? Like I'm looking at male faces put on female bodies, right? Why are we seeing this, right? Why has this become the new norm? It's because what I talked about with my feminist frequency video, right? Anita Sarkeesian in her role with feminist frequency, where she overtly infiltrated the gaming community, the gaming space, by saying, hey, having sexy, attractive women on screen in video games, that is a evil and hurtful stereotype that does more damage to the goals of feminism and all this other crap, right? You can check out my video to get the full deep dive. I'm not gonna go really into that again. However, this is why we're seeing it, because she said openly, she pushed the idea that having sexy women on screen in video games is a evil, sexist stereotype and trope that needs to be done away with, right? This is a sentiment that a lot of feminists kept trying to push in modern media, and this is why, again, you look at Indiana Jones 5, you look at Halo, you look at Star Wars. This is why, again and again, you have these traditional masculine characters that everybody looks at as role models for what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, and then these characters are just hollow former shells of their former self. And these new female characters who are being introduced in the series are just the everyman, right? They just stomp all over. They walk all over our characters. Our characters at the same time are just sitting there saying, "Oh, thank you for gracing us with your presence," kissing and licking their feet. But at the same time, it's like, yo, you guys completely destroyed these characters. These characters are heroes. These characters have went toe to toe with the evilest people in the world and came out on top. But now all of a sudden they are all just hermits. They are all losers, and these new female characters are just magically appearing before them and telling them, "Hey, this is what you're gonna do for me, and you better do it or else. And these characters go, yes, my queen, I'll do anything you say. Like, get out of here with that crap, dude. Nobody is buying it, right? Nobody likes it. Nobody's buying it. And men in general, right? We all just need to say enough is enough. We're not buying your crap, right? I said this about, in my video talking about boycotts, right? No, you don't have to buy. You don't have to buy this crap, right? You look at Street Fighter, right? The new Street Fighter. All the women are sexy. All the women look good. Okay. But however, in these other video games, they decide no, we're gonna make the women look like just men with, overtly like look like men. That's really what they're doing. They're just making all these characters look very androgynous, very masculine. Not in the good way, right? Because this comes, brings a new issue coming on, right? Because also in the series, they decide to make Deathstroke again look very like a emo teenage boy, emo teenage boy, instead of the hard-earned, worn, battled, veteran that he is in the actual comic books, right? He's a mercenary, right? He used to be a military officer, went through the super soldier program. His wife tries to kill him while he lost his eye, but he's one of the deadliest mercenaries in the DC world. But then they decide, oh no, we're just gonna make him this like emo K-pop looking boy. Get out of here with that crap, right? And then people come out and say, oh, well, what about this new character that's been introduced? What do you guys not like masculine looking women? And people are like, bro, this is not a masculine, right? This person comes out and says, masculine looking women exist in real life. It's like, bro, this is not a, masculine looking women. In fact, a lot of people are saying this should have been the original design for Lois Lane in this new TV series, right? Because the new Lois Lane that they tried to create, it's just a shorter, skinnier version of Livewire, right? And basically a short-haired tomboy girl, right? And so a lot of people are now arguing, right? Why is it that in the Western world, right, in Western media, men overtly are like, hey, this is disgusting. This is ugly. We don't want this, right? We don't want these masculine, male-looking females. Whereas at the same time, people look at anime and say, oh, yeah, these strong, masculine, muscular, buff women, this is okay. In fact, we love this. We want more of this, right? Why is that, right? And I simply say, it's simple as this, right? Look at the character Casca, right? In my opinion, right, and it's probably way before my time, right? Casca is essentially the character that popularized the whole dark skin, short hair, tomboy character, right? The kind of archetype or the trope, okay? Again, maybe not, but from, I'm probably too young to actually remember any of these other characters, right? Because I know for the kind of tsundere character, it was Asuna from Evangelion that basically popularized the whole tsundere character archetype trope, right? And so for me, I'll say, hey, Casca is is who popularized the short hair, dark skinned tomboy character, right? And when you look at Casca from Berserk, who is she as a character, right? She is part of the mercenary group Band of Hawks, right? Why she is tomboy, right? Why she is a masculine character is because she is, as this Hollywood writer, says, the roles of men and women in the world, right? She is a mercenary, right? Something that this is medieval ages, right? Women are not mercenaries. Women are more likely just, housewives, or they work for, as handmaids working in castles and whatever, right? Or they're part of the aristocrat group, right? They're just there. They look beautiful. They're all wearing frilly dresses and things like that. They're socialites, whatever, right? However, Casca is part of this mercenary group. She is on the front lines in wars fighting against other men on the battlefield, right? There is no place for women on the battlefield, and she knows this, and this is why she has adopted a masculine kind of charade, right? Her armor is a kind of like the representation of her masculinity, right? And so she must be a man on the battlefield in order to stay alive. And during the progression of this entire manga series, she ends up having her period, right? She ends up having her period while on the battlefield, which immediately made her weak, right? She fell immediately ill. And therefore, all the other groups of Hawks immediately had to rush to her in order to defend her. Guts being one of the main characters, having to go rush to her and defend her from all the other male, enemies that they were having to fight. And that's when you finally, for the first time, see Casca in a very vulnerable feminine role, right? She immediately, her masculine, facade immediately drops because, hey, the one thing that women all have biologically is, is a uterus, and that, the things that happen in nature because of that, right? She immediately has to drop the masculine facade, and she is now a woman. Okay, a woman on the battlefield, and all the men in her team had to immediately go to her to protect her from all the other enemy male characters, right? And Guts then has to, basically her and Guts had to hole up in like some cave or cavern, in order to keep her safe. And that was the first time, right, in the manga series, if I'm remembering this correctly, right? It's been a really long time since I actually read this scene. This was the first time that Guts has actually recognized her and actually seen her as a woman, because she is now in this very vulnerable state. Okay, and over the course of time, when Casca falls in love with Guts, he finally gets to see her true feminine side, right? Because in the Eastern world, right, what they say here is like, yes, these characters are muscular. They are very masculine in presentation, right? They are very tomboyish. However, that does not make these characters trans. This does not make these characters want to be men, right? These characters don't want to be men. They still are women. They still want to be women. They still want to be mothers, right? They still see themselves as women. However, just because they're buff, just because they're muscular, just because they take on a very masculine role in whether it be, fighting on the front lines against, enemies or whatever, right? This does not make them not want to still be feminine women, right? Because the whole appeal to this trope is the fact that, hey, outside of the whole, again, the masculine charade, right? The masculine facade that they present when going out and fighting, things like that, when you are one of their love interests, right, you get to see that very feminine woman side to them, right? And that is the appeal to, right? That is the sexual appeal to these characters. It's the masculine presentation on front, but when you get them behind closed doors, right? When you get really friendly with them, when you get them behind closed doors, they immediately shed that masculine charade. And you see the true woman that they are, right? That is essentially the appeal to these characters, right? And so when it comes again to the Western world, they openly say that men are evil, men are disgusting, toxic, masculinity itself is toxic, and women need to be more masculine while men need to be more feminine, right? Because they want to kind of destroy the patriarchy. They want to flip the script, right? They openly have a disdain for men and a disdain for the feminine because they openly reject, right, women in the Western world who, delve in this delve into this feminist theory nonsense, overtly hate the fact that they are women. They hate the idea of femininity, right? They want women to be more masculine because they see masculinity as kind of a power, right? They see it as a way to be more powerful, right? So therefore, they want to get rid of their weakness, which is their feminine side, and adopt the more masculine, which is the essentially the powerful side, right? And so that's really what it boils down to, right? A hatred in the Western world for women in the feminine, whereas in Japan and in Eastern world, they openly say that no, these women are still women. Just because they are tomboys, just because they have some type of, masculine traits does not make them not a woman, right? They still love their feminine side, right? They just had to adopt a more masculine side because of their, just because of the environment that they're in, right? These are, they're heroes, right? They are fighting against, fighting against the extinction of the human race in some cases. Or they're just like I believe this character is from Senran Kagura, if I'm if I'm not mistaken. I think she's from Samurai Kagura. So yes, they're assassins sent out to fight the evils of the world and things like that, right? That's why they have adopted masculine traits. However, when these characters are presented with a love interest, they are immediately feminine in nature, right? So that's just really what it is. And that's there's nothing more to say. It's just the difference between in the Western world, they just want to push this feminist theory, where in the Eastern world, in Japan, they're just like, hey, these women are hot and sexy. We find buff, masculine, tomboyish women very hot and sexy. That's as deep as it goes, right? That's as deep as it goes in Japan. In the Western world, there's a lot of other political, progressive, Marxist bullcrap being pushed in a lot of this rhetoric, right? So, like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you, Patriots, on the battlefield.